How's it going, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Once again, it's been a little bit, the same story every single week. A combination of I've been incredibly busy as well as I've just been kind of taking a break from a lot of my hobbies. I got really deep down the rabbit hole of comics for a while. As I mentioned several times, I've shifted over to my hobby of Pokemon. I went heavy into that for a while. And for the last couple weeks, I would say, pretty much since I came back off of my vacation, I've kind of been taking a break from most of them, picking up small books that I'm reading week to week. But other than that, I haven't really had any huge or major purchases. And a lot of that is really twofold. One, I realized I started to get myself not in a bad spot, but like I mentioned in my comic debt video, I just noticed that I was slowly siphoning out more money than I needed to each week, especially when I did have some bigger books I wanted to accomplish before this year's end. And on top of that, I also kind of cycle my hobby. So as I mentioned, I am really into comic books. Every now and then I will shift focus and I'll be really into Pokemon cards. I also collect figures, so every now and then I will go heavy into that. With Halloween season, I love my movies, I love my steelbooks, I love collecting in that form. So I've also been delving back into horror steelbooks that I haven't been able to add to my collection yet. So I kind of bounce from hobby to hobby. All of them I never get out of, but I more kind of focus in on one and then the other and then the other. But that, again, because of that, it kind of makes it so that I am slowly siphoning money out without taking any real break, even if there's not a big purchase. So I've kind of laid off from everything for a hot minute. But with that said, when opportunities present themselves, you seize them. So when taking a break from a lot of my buying, I've also been rebuilding my funds, recouping my funds, making sure that I'm not just in a bad spot, but I'm in a very good, comfortable spot. So if something came along and it tickled my fancy, I could snag it. And that is exactly what happened. So for many of you that also know me from the claim sales, I've been laying off and I haven't been in them in a hot minute for any of them. And again, I still love them, I still love all the sellers, but it's more me taking a break, kind of saving my paychecks. Again, when I have big books in mind, I don't want to slowly siphon them out each week. That said, this past weekend, James again from Mint Hunter Comics was having an Amazing Spider-Man only claim sale, and I believe it was minus, not issue 1, but pretty much issue 2 up to 100. So he started at 100 and worked his way down. And as I've mentioned many times on this channel, I am looking to complete Amazing Spider-Man 1 through 400. If AF15 is ever in the cards, I'd happily take that. But for now, the goal is just 1 through 400. As I always point out, because you guys see it on every video, I managed to get a lot of the big villain appearance. You can see on the wall behind me. So I've been able to track down thus far. First appearance of Sandman. First appearance of Lizard. Mysterio. Green Goblin. Kraven the Hunter. Scorpion. The Rhino. Shocker. Prowler. Morbius, Tarantula, Black Cat, Hydro Man, underrated one that I personally love, Carnage, and then some couple first appearances from the Venom title. So overall, those are all of the big first appearances I've been able to get from my Spidey run. I think for 1 to 400, I'm only about 20 or 30 issues away. I forget the exact number. But a lot of them are some big ones, but I've also been able to check some big ones off of my list. So needless to say, when he had this 1 to 100 sale, I was very intrigued and very happy that I had not been dipping my toes in a lot of the claim sales and building my funds ready for this moment. Now, the only caveat with this is, as I mentioned before, for a lot of my runs I collect, I like to do raw for the bulk run, but then I do like to get any major first appearances in runs graded. And that is for 2 very specific reasons. One, just because the area I am in, most of the books I buy, I have to buy online. So when you never know exactly who you're dealing with for a dealer's, and I am also not seasoned when it comes to grading things myself, let alone trying to grade things online. For me personally, no matter what you think of any grading companies, it is always safer for me to buy an already graded comic. When it's a first appearance worth that much money, it's just safer for me every time. And the second reason, which is kind of part of that first reason, is, as I mentioned before, in addition to buying online, you know exactly what you get. For me personally, I also am not that great at grading. I'm better at, if you give me a book that's high grade, trying to find things wrong with it and ticking it off that way, than I am actually grading a book. So anything that's like under a 9, or even like I said, the low 9s, I am gonna have no idea what I'm doing. I fully admit that. That's not a part of the hobby that I'm really like deep into. I just want to own the books. And when I'm spending this much money on big first appearances, it is a hell of a lot safer, because even a point 0.5 difference from one grade to another can be hundreds, if not thousands of dollars difference in money depending on the book. So the tricky part with this claim sale is he had, like I said, not exactly one, but pretty much 1 to 100, but none of them were graded, and he did have, it was a solid run through a lot of the big first appearances. So the good news is, while I always prefer to get them graded so I know what I'm getting, I have had many past experiences with James before. I've bought many books from him, both graded and ungraded, and I really trust his opinion, as well as you see the submissions that he personally sends in and gets graded, and he's usually pretty spot on. So when I saw a couple of the books came up, I knew we were in for a show. Right, instead of stalling, I'm just going to grab the book and we'll continue talking that we can actually see the one I was able to snag. So obviously, it is not one I already have up there, but it is another big book that I still cannot believe I own, and that book is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 2. This is a book that, while I always wanted to own, it was always kind of on the back burner. Anybody that collects and they're doing big runs like this, they always say, get the big books first because they're always going to be more expensive and keep going up, and get the run filler later. And some of that I've been doing, as you've seen, but part of it is also intimidating, that it's like, I don't want to spend that much money right now. I'd rather get a lot of these smaller books, fill out my run, have something to look at. But this one popped up, and I knew I had to have it. So in addition to finding this in any decent grade is already hard enough, I also noticed that in my travels of looking for it, I wanted one that had to be nice, vibrant colors. A lot of the ones I saw that were in okay to mid shape, even then, the red was pretty faded on it and it didn't stand out. And I knew that when I did buy this book, I wanted that. So for anybody that doesn't know, Amazing Spider-Man issue 2, I believe came out in 1963. This is the third overall appearance of Spider-Man, because obviously you have AF-15, then ASM-1, and then this book, as well as the first appearance of the Vulture, who again was portrayed by one of my favorite actors, Michael Keaton, in Spider-Man Homecoming. So again, is adds on top of, I still can't believe, this is now the oldest Spider-Man book I have in my run. Again, right behind, up top here, my issue of The Sandman. So this book, again, it is incredible. Just look at the vibrancy on that book. The green of the Vulture, the red and blue of Spider-Man, and again, the way the red and the yellow just pops off of that trait dress. There's, as you can see, some spine wear going along here. But again, for this book and most of the ones I've seen online, very happy with that. And like I said, as long as the book was not falling apart, I knew I didn't want to spend crazy amounts for a high grade, but I also knew I wanted a very decent, decent mid-grade, mid to low grade, but the color vibrancy mattered a lot more to me. So again, the back there, very, very nice. Like I said, this, when it came up, is why historically when I buy books like this, especially online, I always want to get them graded so I know what I'm getting. But having done much business with James in the past before, there we go, camera kind of phased out, this is one I felt very comfortable buying. So again, I am ecstatic to finally own this. And as I said, this came from laying off claim sales, almost taking a break from the hobby. Like I said, as a lot of you guys have been seeing now, it's probably at least 2.5, 3 weeks in between my videos. And again, it is really, I am that busy, but I don't feel the need as much to keep buying like I used to. I'm thinking about kind of trimming the collection down for certain things I have, putting that money back into bigger books, and also right now, there's a few other markets that I'm in that I'd also like to play around with my money that way. So, but like I said, the fruits of my labors of being able to restrain from the claim sales has paid off. And this is actually also an early birthday gift to myself. So this book, I am ecstatic. James, thank you very much. And he also threw in some pretty awesome freebies with it right now. I'm not going to get into it because I have them all buried back behind me. But an awesome dude, awesome seller. I can't recommend him enough. So James, thank you very much. Very happy to have this in my run now. That's really all I have for today, guys. Just a quick video. I wanted to show off. It has been a while since I've gotten a big Grail book, but even longer since I have actually added a decent Grail book to my Amazing Spider-Man collection. For the longest time, like I said, I kind of get addicted and obsessed where I feel like I am just checking off a list where I need that Spider-Man book. I buy it, it comes in, I acknowledge it for a bit, and then it's already on to the next one. And it's kind of more that checking the box of the ones I need instead of taking my time and appreciating the hobby and the books for what they are. So this is me taking a step back. Again, videos, I'm going to actually try to up the videos to what they were before, but you'll probably see a lot more of smaller either hauls or books I'm reading each week. Like I love what Wolverine, Capullo is doing with Wolverine right now. That is great. I have heard great things about Scott Snyder's new Absolute Batman run. Haven't picked it up or read it yet, but that's what I mean with how far behind I am. So either way, super short video for you guys today. Just wanted to share. I am over the moon to actually have that and own it in my collection and a book so vibrant. So thank you guys for checking out this video. Until next time.